What's going on my fantasy football fans out there? It's Waiver Wire Queen. Tonight, I want to give you some players that you should start and some players that need to be all the way at the end of your bench. Week 5 in fantasy football. Remember to hit that like button so you can see more videos like this to help you during the fantasy football season. Let's jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen with you guys this evening and give you all of the knowledge you need for the upcoming season. All right, let's get it. Let's get it. Okay, so we got the Rams at the Seahawks. Let's talk about one of the most important factors. Chris Carson has not practiced all week. He hasn't practiced all week due to a neck injury. Um, Alex Collins outsnapped him this past week. And it's looking like he may not play. They say it's a game time decision. Plan accordingly if you have Chris Carson, because if he cannot suit up and you have him in that starting lineup, it's going to be a big fat zero, and that's not what we do out here. So please be mindful of that because that is obviously a key factor for this game. Players you should start: Matthew Stafford, to me, start. Cooper Cup, start. And I'm saying start these two guys because obviously they've been making magic all season. This past week wasn't such a great game. However, I expect them to be much better. Seahawks defense is not that good. Okay. It's not like the old days when they had the Legion of Boom. Okay. This is a different Seahawks defense, and Matthew Stafford and Cooper Cup should get back on track and do what they normally would do. So start them. I'm gonna say Russell Wilson is going to have a solid day to at least get you 20 to 23 fantasy points. And Tyler Lockett, I'm going to start him. Obviously, Ramsey is going to have to play one of these guys. Is it going to be Metcalf? Is it going to be Lockett? I'm gonna say you have a better shot with Lockett. Again, Chris Carson. If he were to play, I would not start him because the Rams defense is really that good. And I don't think he's going to have a good day due to injuries and just due to the Rams defense being that good. Obviously, Aaron Donald is really that good. And I don't think it's going to be a good idea. Robert Woods hasn't been involved much to start the season. I'm surprised by this. I had Cup and Woods benefiting off of the Stafford trade. However, obviously, we know Cooper Cup has, but they plan to get Robert Woods more involved. But I'm going to bench him until I can see. So he's going to have to come out here and score about 20 fantasy points before I put him back in my starting lineup. And you should consider that as well because they're not even utilizing him. Okay. And DK Metcalf, he's been kind of up and down to start the season. I'm going to say that Ramsey is going to be on him. And that's not going to be good. He's not going to have this big game. So I have him on my bench, and you should do the same. Jets at the Falcons. Woo! Two teams with horrible records, terrible defense. Obviously, the Jets defense is a bit better. So this week, I am definitely high on Crowder. If you can pick him up, pick him up. He had a solid week. First game back, played well, had a touchdown, over 60 yards and 5 receptions. Corey Davis, start him. He should have a really good game. He had a solid game versus the Titans. He's going to have a really good game against the Atlanta Falcons, whose defense is really not that good. Matt Ryan went off against Washington football team. He's going to do the same versus the Jets. I expect him to have a really good game. Calvin Ridley, they need to get him more involved. They need to add more weapons on offense to that team so Calvin really is not double teamed all the time. Okay. Um, I expect this to be a good game for Ridley. And obviously, everyone is starting Patterson on every team. Sell high on Patterson right now. Get the most you can. I've seen him go for a first round pick. I would not say that anyone should be given a first round pick for him, but hell, if someone is willing to give you a first for Patterson, go on and do it. But sell high on him because he is not going to sustain the type of production that he is producing. This is his best year statistically, fantasy wise. And when you have Patterson as your best running back and wide receiver, you have a problem. That shouldn't be the case, but however he is, and sell high and get the most you can while his value is high as hell. I'm sitting Mike Davis. I just don't trust him. He's supposed to be the starting running back, but I feel like obviously Patterson is the running back to have in that backfield. Ty Johnson is on my bench because they are looking at the young guy Carter, I would not necessarily say start him. He is starting to see more touches, but he is right now touchdown dependent in my eyes. Um, he had over 10 fantasy points this past week, but that was because he had a touchdown. His yards per carry is extremely low, so I would sit him. Zach Wilson, that's a toss up for me. Still not high on him. He was okay this past week versus the Titans. Their defense is really not that good. Atlanta's defense is not that good. Can he produce what Taylor Heineke produced versus the Falcons last week? It's a possibility. However, if you can go with someone else, go on with that individual because he's a rookie. He's going to be up and down for the most part this season, and this would be a good game for him to take advantage of. However, I don't see it happening, so I'm not checking for him, and you should have better options at quarterback. All right, let's look at the Lions at the Vikings. That's right. Kirk Cousins is going to redeem himself. Hell, all of those Vikings offensive players are going to redeem themselves, so you can start them all with confidence. Cousins, Thielen, Cook, Jefferson. Okay, start all of these guys with confidence. Check to see what's going on with Dalvin Cook in regards to injury. He returned last week, and I expect him to play this week, but just kind of check to see what's going on with him. But yes, start all of these guys with confidence. They had a tough Browns defense, and they only scored 7 points. That's just insane. 7 points is nothing. Okay, but they'll they will make a comeback this week. This is going to be a bounce back week for Vikings. I am starting TJ Hawkinson. I don't trust Jared Goff, so he is on my bench. Swift is a player you can start and start him with confidence. The wide receivers for the Lions, I mean, is eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Who I have a video on waiver wire ads on some on uh, Raymond for the Lions. He's a wild card and he's not a must start. They pretty much don't have a lot at the wide receiver position. However, if you are struggling, he is someone you can consider because they've been going to him lately, especially over the last two games. I don't trust Jared Goff. I don't care who the hell he's playing against. I don't trust him, and he's always going to be on my bench because he's not going to get a lot of points. So Goff is all the way at the end of my bench. Okay. Again, Hawkinson is going to be a much better week than this past week. So you always start him, and it's going to be a good week. So remember that. Hit that like button for more fantasy football and subscribe. All right, let's talk about the Saints at Washington football team. Okay, so obviously, the Saints lost to the Giants this past week. Daniel Jones was able to throw for over 400 yards. I do not see Jameis Winston doing that, so he is on my bench. Any Saints tight end is on my bench. Curtis Samuel is on my bench because one, they have a nice secondary out there with the Saints, and two, he's just returning from injury, and I feel like he's still a few weeks away from being really productive. Antonio Gibson, I am starting with confidence. I am starting my favorite ad this week at quarterback. In my leagues, I am struggling at the position with quarterback. Taylor Heineke. He is definitely playing very well. I think he is exceeding the expectations that most of us have for him, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you pick him up, go on and pick him up. He's going to be their quarterback, in my opinion, for the remainder of the season. Okay. Kamara, I say start him with confidence in this game. McLaurin, McLaurin, I always start him. and I expect him to have a solid game. As you can see, what third string wide receivers from the Giants was able to do to him, to I'm sorry, to the Saints. So I expect him to have a solid game. Key injuries: Michael Thomas is obviously out. Maybe he'll be back after week 6, probably week 7. We'll see. Logan Thomas, he is week to week, and he is actually on IR, so he's going to miss a few weeks. So if you have other tight ends, consider Dalton Schultz with the Dallas Cowboys. There's other tight ends out there. Dan Arnold, who was just traded from the Panthers to the Jaguars, he's going to see an increase in his snaps. So the more he adjusts and absorbs the offensive playbook for the Jaguars, the more playing time he'll get. He is the best tight end in on that roster, in my opinion. So at some point, he's going to take off. So consider those guys. There are a few more tight ends out there that you can consider as well. Patriots at the Texans. Ooh, this is going to be one of those games. Davis Mills, he don't even need to be on your bench. He needs to be on waivers. If you have him on your bench, throw him on waivers. Not a good look. All of the Houston running backs, don't trust them. Don't even know who's going to start week to week. Mac Jones, as a rookie quarterback, he had an okay game, but he's not going to get you over 20 fantasy points. And if you're looking for more than that, it's not going to come from Mac Jones. Aguilar, I got him on my bench. He's just stinking it up this year. Uh, Pretty much the whole Patriots offense is really playing that well. Patriots tight ends on my bench. Obviously, they have no Watson. Harris, I'm gonna say, is gonna have a nice bounce back week. And Brandon Cook, that's all Mills can do is throw to Brandon Cook. So these are the only two players I am checking for in that game, and that's what you should do. All right, let's see. Dolphins at the Bucks. Obviously, this is going to be a better week statistically for Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Godwin. We don't know what's going to happen with Gronk. He's most likely going to be out. However, these guys should be good. AB should replace Gronk's production. He should. I feel like Jaden Waddle is going to be okay, and Gasecki is doing really well. Bucks running backs, I do not trust them. If I had to start one of them, and that's if, because all of my other running backs are on a bye week or injured and not available, and that's my last option on the face of this earth, then it's Leonard Fournette all day. Miles Gaskin hasn't done anything this year. Brown is a no. Ahmed is a no. Jacoby Brissett, don't trust him. The most he's going to give you is maybe between 15 and 17 points, and you can find better production on the waiver wire than that. Obviously, Tua is out for a few more games. I'm sure he's going to return this year. Will Fuller, he's out with injury. So plan accordingly, guys. It's got a plan. Work that wire. If you have to make trades, do what you have to do to win out here in these fantasy football streets, because you might win every week if you can. Not saying you will, but shoot, if you can, you can. Packers at Bengals. Obviously, I'm starting Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams is going to have a nice bounce back game. Aaron Jones, always start him with confidence. Jamar Chase should have a really good game. Joe Burrow should be solid as well. Mixon, I have him in both places. If he plays, I'm starting him with confidence, but also check for him with injuries. Tyler Boyd, I am starting with confidence. Another key injury to consider is T. Higgins. He has not played. Let's see if he will return from injuries this week. Randall Cobb, I do not trust. Robert Tunyon, I felt like he was going to be a 1 year, one hit wonder, and so far, I am correct. He has not met any of the expectations from last year, and I'm not checking for him. CJ Uzma. Uzama. Okay, yeah, I got it right this time. Yeah. Okay, so he had a Great game this past Thursday against the Jaguars. 2 touchdowns, over 90 yards. Really good game. It's going to be hit or miss with him. So it's going to be a week or two where he does nothing, and you'll see a week like this so where he has 2 touchdowns, over 90 yards, five plus receptions. So you can pick him up, but just know that it's going to be hit and miss with him. So I wouldn't trust him after one game, but hit or miss is what you can expect from him. Broncos at the Steelers. Big Ben is always on my bench. Drew Lock may start because Teddy Bridgewater is still in the concussion protocol and is most likely not going to play. Drew Lock is on my bench because he hasn't played well. He didn't play well when he relieved Teddy Bridgewater due to injury. He's on my bench. Hell, he's on waivers, guys. Waivers, just wave. He's on waivers. Again, Big Ben on the bench, hasn't played well this season. Juju Smith-Schuster on my bench. Pat Freeamuk is touchdown dependent, and if he gets a touchdown, that's all he's going to get. He's not going to get you yardage or anything. He's on waivers pretty much. Deontay Johnson and Noah Fant is who I trust in this game. Obviously, Teddy, key injury. Chase Claypool was out this past week. Let's see if he can play. I don't trust Melvin Gordon this week, and he's had some injury issues. Javonte Williams is a player that I would consider playing. Just kind of see what happens with Gordon. Williams is obviously the preferred back. They're splitting time, so it's a crapshoot. Williams had a nice solid week last week, but to me, it's still a crapshoot because they're still doing 50-50. So, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, whichever one you got, go on and start. I think Williams will be the back to have the better game this week. Eagles at the Panthers. Panthers have a solid defense. Let's keep in mind, obviously, the major issue is Christian McCaffrey is out. Um, don't know when he's going to return. They didn't put him on IR, so they're anticipating him to return. We'll have to see. Hamstring issue. Jalen Hurts, I am starting him with confidence. He has still gotten me the fantasy points that I needed from him, even though he hasn't thrown the ball quite well. But I'm still starting him. I am starting Sam Darnold with confidence. He's going to have a nice bounce back week. He was a little bit off last week versus the Cowboys. That was just more of him and McCaffrey not being there, not the Cowboys defense. Dallas Goedert, I'm starting with confidence. DJ Moore, you start him every week with confidence because Sam Darnold is looking at DJ Moore. That's all he's looking at right now. Robbie Anderson, I not starting him with confidence. You know, him and Sam Darnold, they have a nice rapport from when they played on the Jets together. However, DJ Moore and this Sam Darnold connection, that's what it is right now. So if it's not Darnold and Moore, it ain't nothing. Ian Thomas on the bench. Terry Marshall is going to be hit or miss. He's definitely a good ad for dynasty leagues, but he's still either on my bench or on waivers right now. Tommy Trimble is a player to look at. His playing time is going to increase. You're going to see him on the field more and receive more targets because they traded Dan Arnold to the Jaguars. So Tremble is going to start seeing his time playing time increase, and his target should increase. Thought it would increase this past week. He only had one target, which shocked the hell out of me. But nonetheless, it was a bad off week for the Panthers. He's someone to definitely keep on your bench in a dynasty league. And if you're struggling at tight end, you can just add him to the end of your bench to see what they do with him because the talent is there. He can block. So he's going to be on the field just because he can block and he obviously can catch. So at some point, you're going to start seeing more of him. Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell are pretty much splitting time. Miles Sanders doesn't look that great. Kenneth Gainwell is seeing more action in the passing game. Boston Scott is MIA, so you don't even got to worry about him. But honestly, if I had to choose between these two backs, Sanders and Gainwell, it would be Gainwell for me because if Miles Sanders is the starter, then Gainwell shouldn't be cutting into so much of his touches, but he has, and he really looked good this past week and had over 20 fantasy points. So Gainwell is my preferred back. I'm not starting Miles Sanders this week. I don't have him on my team. But if you do, you know what to do. All right. Titans at the Jaguars. Woo, let's see. They didn't take advantage of the Jets, and they actually lost to the Jets. So I can't make this up, y'all. Derrick Henry, you start him every week with confidence. Ryan Tannehill, I think he'll have a good game. Trevor Lawrence, I think it's going to be a good game for him because the Tennessee Titans defense is just terrible. Okay. James Robinson, start him with confidence. They want to run the football more. He had a really good game versus the Bengals. Start him with confidence. DJ Chalk is out for the season. Chenault Lavishka is going to see his playing time, well, his targets increase, and Jones is going to start seeing his targets increase. He had a stink game versus the Bengals this past Thursday. I expect to see some improvements this week coming up, so you can start him with confidence. Um, all tight ends I'm sitting because I don't know who to trust. I want Dan Arnold to sit for one more week because I want to see if they are going to start utilizing him more. If they do, then you know what to do next week. Chester Rogers, I just don't really trust him. He got a lot of his yardage and towards the end of the game and overtime. I don't want to wait damn 3 to 4 quarters for you to start getting me fantasy points. I'm sitting there stressing. All right. However, if Julio Jones and AJ Brown cannot go because of the hamstring injuries, then Chester Rogers would be the wide receiver on Tennessee that I am checking for. Okay. And the Jaguars defense is not that good. So Chester Rogers will produce what he did last week. Like I said, he kind of started out late. Browns at the Chargers. Woo! Defense versus a good offense. I don't care what's going on. I'm a little tired of the Browns. Give Nick Chubb the damn ball. He is the number one. But hell, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. If you got both, you may want to start both. If you got Chubb, start Chubb. If you got Hunt, start Hunt. All right. Justin Herbert, I'm starting him every week with confidence. I don't care who the hell he plays. The Browns made Cousins look like he was playing high school football as a freshman this past week. Obviously, Herbert is 100 times better than Kirk Cousins. However, I'm starting Justin Herbert with confidence. Okay, that Browns defense is really good, so you gotta kind of bring your expectations down here because that defense is really, really scary good. Okay, definitely top five. Keenan Allen, I don't care. I'm starting him with confidence. Austin Eckler, if you are expecting yardage from him, it's not going to happen. He's a PPR running back, so I trust him in PPR versus the Browns. The Browns are giving up only 3.1 yards per carry to opposing teams' running backs. They're not going to be able to run the ball well, but they're going to get him involved in the passing game. I sit Baker Mayfield every week, or he is on waivers. He is on the wire because he's not a fantasy quarterback. Austin Hooper, it's hit and miss with him, and it all depends on Baker Mayfield. So pretty much, you know what I get here, what I'm talking about here. I don't trust um I don't trust OBJ. Okay. I don't trust OBJ. Jared Cook is hit or miss. He had a good game this week, which means he's going to have a bad game this week to come. That's just how it goes with him. And Mike Williams, he had his first bad game of the season, but he's just coming back down to earth. Sell high on Mike Williams. He's not going to be able to sustain that level of production for the remainder of the season. Sell high on Mike Williams, and he's not going to have a good game this week versus the Browns. So, you know what you got to do. It's hard, but you got to do what you got to do out here to win. Bears at the Raiders. Darren Waller is who I trust out of everybody. Okay. Justin Fields is on my bench. He's just on my bench. He's not going to get you a lot of points in fantasy. He's a rookie. If you're ever in a dynasty league and say your team is in rebuild, if you want to start him to gain 9, 10 points, be my guest. Otherwise, he should be on your bench in a dynasty league. If you are in a redraft league, he is in free agency. He's on waivers. You don't have him on your roster wasting time. Allen Robinson, his production right now is tied to um, Justin Fields, and it's not that good right now. So I'm not checking for him. Derek Carr, I don't think he's gonna have a good game versus the Bears. Their defense is okay, is solid, and he's not going to have a good game. Hunter Renfrow, he's actually a solid option for Derek Carr, but I'm still not checking for him. I'm just sitting on Raiders wide receivers. I'm not looking at anyone other than Darren Waller in this game. David Montgomery obviously is going to be out a few weeks due to injury. Cohen is still out. Josh Jacobs returned this past week. However, you still need to just check and see what's going on with that turf toe because anything can happen with the turf toe. So kind of monitor and see what's going on. If you were able to pick up Damian Williams, I do not expect him to have the performance that David Montgomery had this past week. Obviously, Montgomery is a way better running back, and I don't feel like Williams is going to be able to run on the Bears. He may be able to gain a few extra points for you in the fantasy in a PPR league, and that's it. But if you spent $50 on him to pick him up, if you use your waiver claim to pick him up, this is probably not a good week for him. But he's going to be the starter for the next few weeks, and he has a minor injury that's not going to stop him from playing. But I'm not checking for him this week versus the Bears. 49ers at the Cardinals. I'm starting all of my Cardinals with confidence, extra confidence. Kyler Murray, I'm starting with confidence. Chase Edmonds, DeAndre Hopkins, and I like AJ Green in this game. Max Williams, all of you people should be ashamed of yourselves who went out and picked him up after what 1.5 weeks of greatness. Just no, don't start him. Rondell Moore is going to be hit or miss with him as a rookie. Christian Kirk, I'm not checking for him. Connor, he is touchdown dependent. If they get the ball to him in the red zone, you won. But if they don't, you lose. So I still prefer Edmonds as my back to have over in the Cardinals backfield. Trey Lance, I would say if Jimmy G cannot go, Trey Lance is who I am starting. I'm starting with confidence because I think he'll have a good game, even as a rookie. He played pretty well relieving Jimmy G. And obviously, Jimmy G, you want to monitor that situation to see if he's going to play or not because of injuries. He gets hurt every season. Giants at the Cowboys, my favorite game. Obviously, I'm starting Dak with confidence. CeeDee Lamb, Elliott, Cooper. I'm starting my guys with confidence because I think this is going to be a really good game. I think this is going to be a game along the lines of the Washington football game versus the Giants game. So you start your guys with confidence. You're going to want to check on Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, injuries. They have hamstring injuries. I do not feel like they're going to play this week. Nonetheless, check on them. Michael Gallup, excuse me, Michael Gallup is still out, and I don't think he's going to play. Obviously, he's not. He's on IR, so he's probably going to be back in another few weeks. Dalton Schultz, he is really seeing the targets, which is why Blake Jarwin is on my bench. Even though Jarwin got a touchdown, that was his only reception. He's on my bench. He can be on waivers too. Schultz is the tight end to own in the Cowboys. And Daniel Jones is going to have a solid game. And I'm starting my guys. I'm starting my players. And Tony is a wild card. To me, this week is either Tony or Ross. It's not going to be both of them. I trust that they'll get Tony more involved than Ross. Ross is more of a big play opportunity, which is not going to happen often. I trust Tony more than I trust Ross. Bills at the Chiefs. This is going to be a high scoring game for me. Allen is a must start. I like Emmanuel Sanders as a flex play. Obviously, Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce. You start those guys with confidence. Zach Moss, to me, is the running back to have on the Bills. Diggs, I don't know why the hell they're not getting him involved more, but you always start Diggs. I don't trust Edwards Hilaire here. Um, Devin Singletary, he's going to get the yardage, but he's not getting any touchdowns. So if you're okay with 7 points, 8 points, fine. He needs touchdowns. Cole Beasley, I'm not checking for him. Dawson Knox is a wild card that I will start. So there you go. Colts at the Ravens. I'm starting Lamar Jackson. Latavius Murray is touchdown dependent, but he is the starting back, and I am starting him with confidence, and he's going to get a touchdown. Pittman is playing very well. Out of all of those players on the Colts, is Pittman who's been the most consistent. Jonathan Taylor he's been inconsistent and he's starting to come along, so I'm going to start him because you don't draft Jonathan Taylor in the top 10 to sit him. I don't care who he is playing against. Okay, you're just not gonna do it. Uh, Other Ravens running backs on the bench. Carson Wentz, don't trust him. He's all the way at the end of my bench. He's so far at the end of my bench, I can't even see him. Colts Titans are on my bench. All right, y'all. That is my start sits list. That is my list. Consider those recommendations to help you this week in fantasy football. Hit that like button and subscribe to Waiver Wire Queen for more on fantasy football. Peace.